Dean of the College of Chemistry, and it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you, your parents, relatives, and friends to the 2016 College of Chemistry Commencement Ceremony. This is a very exciting day, a momentous day, a day that belongs to the College of Chemistry class of 2016. I think they deserve a round of applause, don't you? We have a great program in store for you this afternoon, so please be seated and we'll begin. It's wonderful, as always, to see so many of you gathered here together today to celebrate this joyous occasion and very important milestone. And beginning with our graduates, the College of Chemistry from which you are graduating has a great and illustrious history. Many of the most important discoveries in chemistry and in chemical engineering have been made here, and many of the most influential members of the profession have passed through this college as undergraduates, graduate students, postdocs, or faculty. And indeed, many of the most important contributions yet to come will be made by you. You are graduating from the finest institution of its kind in the world. As graduates of the College of Chemistry, you are now part of this distinguished history. History, I am proud and pleased to say, is now assured to continue. And you deserve to take great pride in your accomplishments and in your membership of the college community. As you know, we live in a chemical world. Our food and medicine, our energy and transportation, our local and global environment, indeed, nearly everything we rely on in our daily lives is impacted by the activities of chemists and chemical engineers. As graduates of the College of Chemistry, you are thus empowered to help lead the way in developing principles, processes that will ensure the products society needs can and will be provided in a sustainable and socially responsible manner. You are, after all, not only graduates of the College of Chemistry, but of UC Berkeley. The faculty of the College of Chemistry is pleased and proud to recognize all of you as you step forward to begin this next phase of your professional lives. Today we honor 400 graduates of the 2015-2016 academic year. 56 recipients of the Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, 57 recipients of the Bachelor of Science in Chemical Biology, 124 recipients of the Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering, 15 recipients of the Bachelor of Arts in Chemistry, 2 recipients of the Master of Science in Chemistry, 35 recipients of the Master of Science in Chemical Engineering Product Development Program, 88 recipients of the PhD in Chemistry, and 23 recipients of the PhD in Chemical Engineering. My colleagues and I congratulate you all. Now, since this ceremony honors the accomplishments of you, our students, it is most appropriate to first hear from your representatives. Each year, we competitively select 2 of our graduating seniors, 1 from each department, to share their thoughts at this important moment of their lives. And our first speaker today is Luna Izpisua Rodriguez. Luna is a chemistry major. She grew up in both San Diego, California and Barcelona, Spain, and speaks Spanish and French, as well as English. Her family lives in Spain, but her father is a biology professor at the Salk Institute in San Diego, so while growing up, she traveled back and forth frequently. Now, when Luna was in high school, she, to use her own words, hated science, and was told by her advisors that she would not be able to graduate because she refused to take chemistry or physics. Instead, she took AP Environmental Science and convinced the school that it was an interdisciplinary science that combined both chemistry and physics, just so she would not have to take chemistry. She came to UC Berkeley as a fine arts major. But alas, she could not avoid taking Chemistry 1A. She's been in love with chemistry ever since. After switching majors, here she is, 4 years later, graduating from the College of Chemistry and addressing the class of 2016. But Luna's journey through chemistry includes many more interesting elements. She was also an intern at the UC Botanical Garden, where she became interested in the different properties of plants. This interest led her to volunteer at SOGA, the university's student garden, on Oxford Street. For what she thought would be a one-time project, she brought a group of second-grade students from the nearby elementary school to teach them about gardening. As a result of that experience, she started the Berkeley Waldorf School SOGA program and taught gardening to students in kindergarten through 3rd grade. The school then hired her as a substitute teacher, teaching Spanish, gardening, and art for up to 4 hours a day while she was still attending classes, including all of those chemistry classes that she loved so much. So, quite remarkable. In addition to teaching, Luna's other passions are cooking and brewing. She hopes to use her skills as a chemist to gain experience in breweries and eventually own a restaurant or brewery. Her current plan is to start her own taco truck and learn the ropes of running her own food business. But eventually, Luna would like to open her own elementary school, where I am certain the garden will be lush and the students will be well-schooled and well-fed. So, please join me in welcoming Luna to the garden.
Thank you, Dean Clark, for such a warm introduction. And thank you for being the first to breaking it to my family that I'm starting a taco truck. Distinguished faculty, professors, families and friends, PhDs and recent graduates, I wish you all knew how intimidating you look right now. But I need to take a picture. Really dark. Okay. I actually haven't told my own parents today that I'm giving the College of Chemistry commencement speech, but that's because they don't speak the same language. They're biologists. Even though I'm graduating today, I don't feel any closer to being a grown-up. So I wrote this speech for the kid in all of us. They were on a field trip at UC Berkeley. "All right, everybody line up," coaxed the teacher, but Luna trailed behind in the back. She went to get a sip of water. She took a sip, wiped her chin off with her sweater sleeve. When she looked around, her classmates were nowhere to be found. Just then, a heavy cart with a big metal barrel that read nitrogen on it rolled into her. "Move it," said the man pushing the cart. Around her were a crowd of others wearing the same exact white lab coat and oblong clear goggles. They pushed and shoved her and funneled her into the narrow doors of a building that read Latimer Hall. Once inside, the white-coated gnomes dispersed. Her eyes took a minute to adjust to the white fluorescent lights, but when they did, she saw a knob in front of her that read methane. She pulled it open, and it hissed loudly. One of the white-coated gnomes ran over, turned the knob shut, and said, "Hey, what do you think you're doing in here? And dressed like that?" He threw a white lab coat at her, along with a pair of goggles and closed-toed shoes. "What is this? Where am I?" she asked. The gnome laughed.
It's okay. Everyone's had a bad day in lab. I'm Jack, an undergrad, you know. You can work on my experiment today until you get the hang of it.
He tried showing her the experimental procedure. When she went out on her own, she dropped and broke the beaker, added 30 milligrams of silver instead of 3, and forgot to take a break before making her measurements. She felt so lost and just wanted to go home. So she called her parents. Mom, Dad, can one of you guys pick me up? I'm so over this. Her mom answered, Luna, we can't pick you up. You know there's no parking at UC Berkeley. But her dad encouraged her to stick with it. He said that one day she might even love it. Just hearing her parents' voices put her at ease and made her feel more comfortable with the lab work. Paroling the room was a tall, wizard-like man wearing a long, pointy hat.
That's Professor Geisler,
whispered Jack to Luna. Geisler spoke up. Wrap up your lab projects and follow me. The undergraduates lined up and followed him through a journey of different rooms. The first one was the organic chemistry room. Around it hovered long chains of colorful, life-size puzzle pieces that collided together to form molecules. The next one they had to swim across as fluid sloshed across the room, vaporizing in some corners and freezing in others. Like a magician revealing his secrets, the professor divulged everything he knew. He let them play with the floating molecules and swim around in the boiling solvents. He answered any questions that undergraduates had with clarity and patience. The professor's enthusiasm for teaching was so palpable that Luna felt motivated to work hard to see the beauty that he saw in every room. Finally, they stepped into one last and final room. The sign above it said, Quantum Mechanics. Inside, everything was turned upside down, the orbitals inside out, and everything she'd learned until then was melting before her eyes. She ran to the professor for an explanation, but when he opened his mouth, all that came out was gibberish. She panicked and ran to the exit, trying to get out of this horrible place, but guarding it was a scowly, smelly Schrödinger-saurus. Moaned the Schrödinger-saurus. She could not understand a word he was saying. Holding the monster on a leash was Professor Whaley.
In order to leave this room, you must complete this set of riddles before tomorrow at 10 a.m., she cackled.
Luna's eyes scanned over the riddle set, unable to understand any of it.
Trust me, you'll get the hang of these, said Jack. These are kind of like homework, but in the College of Chemistry, you need magic powers to solve them.
She looked at it again and still couldn't understand a single thing on the problem set. But when a group of undergraduates and her got together and started throwing all of their powers and spells at it, they finally got it together. And she turned it in the next morning. The Schrödinger-saurus moved aside, and she stepped into yet another room. When she stepped inside, her white lab coat turned into a black robe. She reached up and touched her hat. It was boxy, and there was a tassel hanging off of it. This was definitely the blurriest room of all. All around the room were dozens of Lunas, all acting out different scenarios, and she could tell that they were much older than she was. They seemed to be in the future. One by one, all of the other Lunas started pulling and tugging at her. One of them that was applying to graduate school grabbed her by the ankles and yanked at her. The other one, that was starting her own taco truck, pulled on her arms in every direction. Another Luna, making billions working for a pharmaceutical company, tugged at her ears. It hurt so bad that she started to cry, and all the while she could hear her professors, parents, and friends urging her to pick one future over the other. She felt her throat tighten, and she began to cough. She coughed and coughed until blood came out, and she kept coughing, and finally, her heart flew out of her. Her heart hung suspended in midair in front of her, radiating a light so bright that she couldn't see any of the other Lunas in the room anymore. It beat so loudly that she couldn't hear any of her family or professors or anyone that had urged her to pick one path over another. In one swift movement, her heart swooshed out of the College of Chemistry, and holding on to her cap and gown, Luna chased after it. She ran after it and looked up at it, still beating and dripping. And at that moment, she knew that as long as her heart led the way, she would be happy forever after. Thank you.